the meditation subject today is stick to it. Stick to it, stick to it, stick to it, stick to it. And so we're just reminding ourselves, wherever we are, sometimes it's really easy and sweet and enjoyable to be on the spiritual path, to be in embodiment. And then sometimes we are like that prayer from Swami Nityananda when he says, what am I doing in this world of time and space? Am I here to be suffering? Am I here to be sorrowful? And then he reminds himself and all the rest of us, I'm here to be the light of wisdom. I'm here to be the joy of love. And this is independent of other humans, and it's independent of things that happen in time and space, because that's what we are eternally. And so I will first of all tell you that the title comes from something from Ramana. Ramana says, let us note what is right and stick to it. And so this is independent of anything that happens in time and space. And he was offering that teaching after he was assaulted and after he was robbed. And so Ramana is like this beacon of light, beacon of absolute love and grace and devotion, cannot speak the name of God without weeping with devotion and with pure love. And yet, he experienced in the realm of time and space that thieves broke into his spiritual center, they were violent. He offered them everything, and they still beat him. Like, that was what they knew. And so that was what they did. And so his students, you can imagine, were not particularly a fan of this behavior, and they said, we're going to run after them, we're going to beat them. And Ramana said, you will not do that. Let us know what is right and stick to it. And he said, that's their path. You cannot control their path. You cannot change their path. That is what seemed understandable and reasonable to them. This is what is understandable and reasonable to us. And regardless of the choices that other human beings make, let us know what is right and stick to it. And so he actually was expressing his consciousness. His consciousness was so the consciousness of oneness that he understood those were simply an aspect of himself. He had nothing to fear. Even if he died, he had nothing to fear. There was nothing to fear. There was nothing that he could ever lose. And so the image that he gave was, he said, if your teeth bite your tongue, would you knock out your teeth? And so he understood, like, he's like, I'm that close to the thieves. It's like they're the teeth and I'm the tongue. And so I have no need to knock out the teeth. And so that was his consciousness. He was so in that elevation and that energy and that awareness of oneness, and he lived it. He didn't just talk about it, he lived it, even when he was being walloped and things were being taken from him. And it was not right. I mean, it was not just. And I began by reminding us of the birth of Krishna. And so I'm going to share that again briefly in case anyone came in late. So Krishna is the energy of this divine adventuresomeness within each of us. And this is the energy of irresistible supreme love, the energy of wisdom, the energy of light, the energy of the divine adventure, the energy that says, wherever divine love wants me, there I will be. Krishna was born in prison. Krishna's parents were unjustly imprisoned. And they were imprisoned by Krishna's uncle, who wanted only to kill Krishna. That's where divine love is born. Right there, in the midst of human ridiculousness, in the midst of human injustice, in the midst of human confinement. That's where divine love chooses to be born. Divine love, Krishna was also born in the midst of a storm. So if you can imagine the rain unleashing and the elements, kind of the winds howling and the rains pouring down. And so right in the midst of human affliction, right in the midst of tempests, right in the midst of catastrophe and cataclysm, that's where divine love chooses to be born. And so this is a story not just to help us connect with that energy of joy and aliveness and vitality that expresses through Krishna, but that same energy is our energy. It's the energy of the soul. It's the energy of the eternal, of the infinite within each of us. And it's asking to be born. right where we are, it's asking to be born, always, no matter what it is that we have encountered, no matter what it is that we have experienced. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is chapter 6, verse 47, among all the yogis, they are considered by me to be the highest, who worship me with unqualified devotion and with inner self completely absorbed in me. And I absolutely love that phrase, unqualified devotion, because that says divine love no matter what. That's different from the bargaining consciousness, which is divine grace, I will love you if I don't have a headache. Divine grace, I will love you if this human does what I want them to do. Divine grace, I will love you if it's convenient for me. This is the divine grace, I will love you. Full stop. Period. Divine grace, I love you. And notice what happens. Call into your awareness any circumstance, any situation, any person, any old energy pattern that has been giving you occasion for restlessness or pain or frustration or upset or sadness over the last week. Just touch what that energy feels like. And then say to the divine grace, I choose to love you with unqualified devotion. I choose to love you with my inner self completely absorbed in thee. And notice what happens in relation to what was formerly sticky or entangling or upsetting. Notice what happens with that. And so the same thing happens with that happens with another teaching shared from Swami Nityananda. So I'm paraphrasing and slightly restating it. But he also says, and again, I invite us to close our eyes and to practice this. So call into your awareness any situation. It can be within yourself, it can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be a mental pattern that has just been entangling or frustrating you. But it also could be something in a relationship, it could be something in the world that has been giving you occasion to feel sad or upset or instability in any way. And practice what Swami Nityananda invites us to practice. What is present if I drop all judgments as they arise? And you can instantly feel the clarity and the peace that arises as soon as we ask that question. And so all of these teachings, I encourage us to keep them with us, to hold them close, and to put them into practice in our daily life. I also want to share with you, before I share another couple meditations, which again give us this direct access to self-remembrance of our divine venturesomeness, that quality in each of us which says, yes, this is my purpose, this is my mission, I want to be the light of wisdom, I want to be the joy of love in time and space, even in the midst of being born in a prison, even in the midst of having my uncle try to kill me, even in the midst of having rather continually to face down demons. And all the demons, when Krishna kills them, remember that they too were divine. They simply had forgotten that they were divine. And they actually thank Krishna for vanquishing them and returning them back to self-remembrance, returning them back to the light. So this week, I was walking, and I was walking with two neighbors and their dog, and we were just walking, and on a street corner in North Baltimore, we met someone that they know, whom I was meeting for the first time. And this was a human father who was the light of 1,000 suns, right there on a street corner in Baltimore. And he was evincing what Krishna evinced, birthing that light of wisdom, that joy of love, right in the midst of humanly impossible circumstances. So this was a human father who had recently and unexpectedly lost his son. His son was only in his mid-20s. And the human father said, I didn't choose it. I didn't cause it. I can't change it. And it's really hard. And I am so grateful for the time I had with my son. And his heart was breaking wide open, and he was being absolute courage and embodiment. He was being absolute spiritual honesty in embodiment. It was completely unself-conscious. He was just being the light of 1,000 suns on a street corner in North Baltimore, right in the midst of our daily walk, right in the midst of our daily life. And this is going on all around us, in the midst of our daily life, in the midst of our daily tasks, in the midst of our world, in the midst of our duties and our obligations. The divine is born again and again and again, every time we choose that light of wisdom, every time we choose that courage, every time we choose that spiritual honesty, and every time we choose gratitude and love, even while our hearts are breaking, we make it possible for others to do the same. It can't be imposed on another, it can't be required of another, but every time we choose to be the light of wisdom, the joy of love, courage and trust and open-heartedness, right in the midst of human pain and loss and trauma and heartbreak, we make it possible for others to do the same. As we do this, we create hope in the world. Every single thought we think, every action we take, if we inflect it with that intention of optimism and harmony and positivity, finding pathways forward, we create hope for the future, not just for ourselves, not just for our friends, not just for our families, but for complete strangers, who are, of course, our own selves. It is always our own self whom we are meeting, whom we are encountering. And so for each of us, whatever way in which our own personal heart breaks, right there is where we are invited to be the energy of courage, the energy of divine trust, the energy that chooses the light of wisdom and the joy of love in the midst of what is humanly impossible. When we make this choice, what happens is our heart breaks open in a way that the light of 1,000 suns shines through us. And we make it possible for the energy of kindness, for the energy of caring, for the energy of sharing, to be alive, to be vital, to be fresh, to be visible, to be audible, to be tangible, in the form of amazing music, amazing works of art, amazing eloquence, and also just in the everyday tasks of our daily lives. And so for each of us, I want to invite us to meditate. I'm going to share a couple of techniques. These are wonderful times of transformation, which we all are living through right now. And a lot of fresh energy comes in, a lot of light, a lot of divine love comes in. And what that shows us is any remaining old energy patterns within ourselves, we are invited to harmonize. So how do you know what those old energy patterns are? It's anything that makes you feel unsettled. So anywhere within yourself where you have felt instability or anxiety or fear, anywhere within yourself where you feel old achiness, old sadness, anywhere within yourself that you feel not the light of soul, not the light of wisdom, not the joy of love and embodiment. And so just call into your awareness briefly one of those energy patterns which you have encountered within yourself over the last week. And inwardly connect with the truth. So the truth is, inwardly for each of us, I am stability, I am security, I am serenity, I am courage, I am strength, I am divine trust. And here is the first tool that yogis give us to help transform energy patterns, having first connected with our own stability and security, our own tranquility, our own serenity, our own courage, strength, and divine trust, in relation to whatever has been destabilizing us. I fill myself with the energy of divine love, unconditional devotion. I send the energy of unconditional love to that energy pattern, to that person, to that situation. I send them blessings. Lovingly, I offer them to the divine. And I let go. I let go of looking for any particular outcome. I trust that in the immortal words of Ecclesiastes, God makes everything beautiful in its time. So I'm going to pause and just let you notice how that feels, how freeing and healing that is. Please come back to that particular practice as often as you like. And then the second technique given to us by the yogis, again, connect with the energy of stability, security, courage, faith, strength, trust within yourself. Call into your awareness whatever has been the old achy energy, the sadness, the entanglement, the frustration. And then inwardly, I am non-attachment. I am inner freedom. I am clarity. I am peace. And again, just allow yourself to notice how that feels. and come back to this meditation as often as you like. So I will just close by noting a wonderful teaching from the Yoga Vashishta. As long as there are sesame seeds, there will be sesame oil. As long as there is a human body, there will be moods. There is nothing wrong with you if you are aware of what your energy patterns are. You are in the human body. And you are not limited to the human body. And so this helps us have compassionate awareness and to use the tools which we have meditated on and put into practice. Have compassionate awareness, that's the body. The body has its energy patterns. The body has its quirks. The heart has its emotional patterns. The mind has its thinking patterns. So as long as we are experiencing anything other than clarity and peace, joy and love and freedom in relation to those, then our task is let us know what is right and stick to it. Having compassionate awareness that until we are always quiet without a trace, until we are always light where there is no wind, until we are always the ocean where there is no waves. This is just our practice. And it's our practice as long as we are here, until we are the energy of absolute peace, until we are the energy of the light of wisdom, until we are the energy of the joy of love in embodiment. And so we can have such gratitude and such rejoicing and such peace in relation to ourselves and also in relation to everyone else when we give ourselves the gift of this divine, joyful adventure. Thank God, and God bless us all.